Immorality, anti-Semitism, and replacement theology are eroding the foundations of biblical Christianity. Yonadav presents the Heartland Connection, where Christians are equipped to walk out the truth in God's Word and to support the land and people of Israel.
Shalom and welcome to the Heartland Connection. We're so happy to have you guys here today as we study God's holy word right here in the heartland of Israel. Not only are we here in the heartland of Israel, but we have Orthodox Jewish Rabbi Yonadav here to teach us today. Welcome, Rabbi Yonadav.
Shalom, Zach.
All right, so this week's Torah portion is Parashat Hazinu, and we are in Deuteronomy chapter 32. And Hazinu means, in this translation that I have here, it's translated as give ear. But Rabbi Yonadav, you want to tell us a little bit about what that word Hazinu means?
Okay. The word Hazinu is verb. Mm-hmm. And the root of this verb is same letters like ear, ozen.
Okay.
So in the translation, they decide to call it give ear. But the simple meaning is listen. Mm-hmm. But also, we have something that is unique to Hebrew, that with the verb, we have prefix and suffix that relate to the one we command. So here the command is to the sky. In Hebrew, sky is plural, are plural. So the command here is command for plural.
Okay.
Male plural. On the Bible, we have 4 forms of command. Command to single male, ha'azen. Command for a single woman, ha'azini. Command for plural males, ha'azinu. And command for plural female, ha'azena. There is also ha'azena in Bereshit. So here we have the plural for male, ha'azinu.
Okay.
Listen, you, plural. Listen.
Okay. And is that referring directly to, because in this translation it says, give ear, O heavens, and so that's talking about the plural heaven, so is that directly talking about the heavens, or is it talking about more than that?
No, the sky, the heavens.
The heavens, okay.
Yes.
But in a plural
yes.
Form. Okay. Okay, and that leads us into my question here. Right here in verse 1, it says, to give ear, O heavens and earth, and obviously, usually you don't talk to the heavens or the earth. So what is Moshe saying here? What is he trying to communicate by saying, listen up, the heavens and the earth?
Okay. It's very interesting because we don't use to talk to heavens and earth. And here, it's something that we have to talk to save, to keep for all the generations. So, speaking to the heavens and earth symbolize that it's something forever. Like the heavens and the earth stand forever, exist forever, like that, my speech here is forever.
Wow, so basically he's saying, not giving this to an individual person who will die and be gone, somebody that's listening right there, but he's saying it to things that they're going to last forever, as long as the earth and the heavens are there. What I'm about to say.
And he could talk to the nation, because the nation stands forever. But he wanted to talk to someone else. Someone who can be a
witness,
to testify. So he said, I have to talk to someone who will stay here forever, and he can testify in the future.
Well, that's really interesting. I was just thinking about, as you were saying that it's really powerful that Israel, is a nation that will be forever, and the only other thing like that is heaven and earth. That's the only other thing that Moshe could bring into account. Like all the other nations have come and gone, and other things are very temporal, but the nation of Israel is last forever, and the heavens and the earth will last forever. So that was the witness that God chose to be for Israel. That's really interesting thought.
I'm not sure about the nations, that the reason is they will not stand forever. Mm-hmm. But maybe because they were pagan, you can't
it wouldn't be
take
righteous.
One like that to be your witness.
Right.
It's not fit. So he took the sky and the earth, and also the sky and the earth are loyal to God. Mm-hmm. They stand, and they obey to the rules of the nature that God command them day after day. So they can be witness on the obeying to the Torah.
It's really good. Wow. Okay, so my next question here in verse 4, it says in this translation, the rock, perfect in his work, for all his paths are justice. A God of faith, without iniquity, righteous and fair is he. And then later on in the portion, verse 18, and maybe a few other times here, it talks about God as being the rock. So I was wondering, as far as I know, we haven't really seen this before. What does it mean? And why does Moshe refer to God as a rock?
Again, it's a very interesting question, because we almost can't talk about God. We can't see him. We can't know him really, because he is high from us. And even the word high is just symbol, because it's not that we are here on 870 meters upon the sea level, and he is 100,000 higher. No, it's not that. It's high in spiritual meaning. So we use symbols. We use proverbs, right?
Yeah.
So rock, tzur, is one of the symbols. Of course, we can't imagine that God is like rock, like stone, but we have to understand what exactly the character of the rock that we want to assign to God.
Yeah.
So the rock is the one who is strong and stable. You can trust him. If you stand on the ground, on sand, you don't know, it can move. You are not stable. But if it's rock, big rock, it's stable. You can trust him. You can build your house on rock. So this is the connection, context of this word. Hatzur tamim poalo. The rock, his deeds, work is perfect, but it's complete. Complete. It's not craziness. He has a power, so he decided now to do something else, and you have to be careful not to make him angry. No, he's like rock. His deeds, work is complete. And it's very fit to this portion that talk about the leadership of God, the world, the reality, the nation. It's something very stable.
Wow, that's really good. Okay, so I saw this verse here too in verse 7. It says, remember the days of yore. Now, yore is kind of an old English word, but the days gone by, the past. Understand the years of generation after generation. Ask your father, and he will relate it to you, your elders, and they will tell you. It seems like he's saying here that it's really important to remember the past. Why is Moshe giving us that instruction?
Okay. Really, we have mitzvah to learn history. And not only to know what happened, but also to understand the significance of what happened, because we know that God leads the history toward the goal, the vision, the redemption. So if we will learn the history the right way, we can trace the fingertips of God in the history. Especially when we learn history of the Jewish people. But even the history of the world, we can see how the cruelty and wickedness and paganism is pass away, and the world become better and more clean. And this is a process that God leads in the reality, in the history of the world. So we have to learn history. And maybe this verse reminds us the significance of this portion. Because, like we said, to talk to the sky, to the heavens and the earth is something for generations. And in this portion, we will see it. There are also the punishments that we will accept, that we accepted when we lose the way of God. And after we learn all the Torah, all the portions, all the laws, mitzvot, forbids, it's like God told us here, you have vision. You have to keep the Torah and to understand the goal, and whenever you will lose the vision, I will punish you. We can't leave the world with its problems. We must fix it. We must bring the blessed to the world. So, where can we see it? In the history of the Jewish people, the punishments, the exile, the golden age. The history can show us the vision that is going and reveal in the world. So we have to learn a history and to understand the history, to understand the meaning that God lead in the history. And if we will learn history right way, we can recognize when we see the prophecies fulfilled. Prophecies of fury, punishment, wrath, and prophecies of a redemption. There are people that don't learn history right way and don't recognize the prophecies when they fulfilled.
Right. You have to learn it from a biblical perspective in order to see it
That's right.
clearly.
Like we can learn on the prophets. They say, because your sins, this king conquer you because of your sins. We can learn history. Okay, the king came and conquered us. No, it's not just happened.
Right.
It's the visible, the
It's like obvious consequence.
consequence. It's the God is the lashgiach, to watch, the watcher,
The watchman? Or
who look and bring the consequences. The supervisor.
yeah, maybe something like that. The one that's in control, making
Yes.
things happen.
Yes. So this is a history. The learning of history.
Yeah, and I think that's a really, really good lesson for us in our time, because I think our culture tends to think like, well, but we're so advanced now that things are so different that the history is not relevant anymore, because things are just so different now. We have to just focus in on today and learn what we have today and embrace things faster, and we can only move forward by just focusing where we're at. And history, all that stuff, it's so old and it's so irrelevant. Like, it's just so different now. I can't even relate to those things that happened to those people back then. So why does it matter anymore? So I don't know. What do you think? Why is that argument not a reality? Not a right argument?
Because we have to differ between the relation to the physical conditions and the spiritual conditions. Because that's right, the physical conditions are better, are easier. But what meaning can the modern times give us meaning for our life? With all the computers and the smartphones and the everything. But what about the meaning, the significance of the life?
Wow.
That's, we can learn from the history, and of course to improve it. Because God talked to the heavens and the earth. Because it's not only for that generation, it's also for us, and even for the future, because we have to keep progress, keep improve our faith, our will, our values. So you can't accept spirit meaning from your smartphone. It can help you to work, to make good deeds, to help, to improve, help. But it's just tool. It can't guide you. Not your car or your airplane or the spaceship or nothing.
Yeah.
Only the faith, only the connection with God can gives us the significance, the value.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, we can see a really great example of that. Like in Germany, they're one of the most high-tech, furthest ahead, people groups, and they did horrible things. Like their morality level was crazy low. And then on the opposite extreme, now we have the nation of Israel, here pursuing life and technology in a more biblical-centered way, and look at all the amazing things that Israel is coming out with to help people and to further, things along. So you can see that just technology by itself is not necessarily helping the world. It could destroy the world. But if we have it in a biblical context where biblical morals are there, then we actually see the moving forward. And like you said, the technology does help in a lot of ways. But it's not the main thing. It doesn't actually bring the fulfillment. You have to have the biblical morals to go along with it. And I was just thinking, all the sins that we read about, they're still going today. We haven't overcome sin through technology. And all the good things and the good deeds that we do, we still need that standard to be able to follow. So I think it's very, very, very important, very relevant teaching for today in our time.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Maybe we can add about you talked about the state of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is question.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know that there are many secular people in our nation and in the state,
Right.
our state, and we can ask, maybe all that promotion is not connected to the faith, to the religious, to Judaism.
Uh-huh.
So maybe we have to think deeper, because you know that the percent of Nobel
Like the prize, Nobel Peace Prize.
yes, from the Jewish people is maybe 30%, and it's much, much more than their percent in the population, the general population.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so, but sometimes, maybe most of the times, they are secular.
Mm-hmm.
But when they lose their identity that they are Jews, after 3 generations, let's say, they are no more in the high statistic of the Nobel.
Wow, that's a good point.
So right, they are secular, but they have the conscience of fixing the world. Don't let the world with all the problems. If you see something destroyed, something bad, don't leave it like that. Try to fix it. Try to improve the world. This is the Jewish legacy. So that's right. Our state, our country is not religious by far, but there is a conscience, the identity, and it's, let's say, it's weakened the identity because of the secularity. Just think what will be when we will come back, repent to the complete faith of fix the world, improve the world. It will be 10 times, 100 times than now.
Wow.
Even now, the Israel is leading the world with the improvement. Just think what we can do if we will be loyal to the vision of Portion Hazinu.
Wow. Such an amazing vision, and definitely something that I've experienced being here and feeling that consciousness that you're talking about. It's kind of hard to experience that outside of Israel. And from the outside looking in, there's all those questions. But when you're here and you spend quite a bit of time here, it becomes more obvious. You can feel it more. It's like, wow, there is something very amazing going on here. And even though you recognize, everybody recognizes there are problems and these things are sin or whatever. Somehow there is, like you said, a deeper root there, a consciousness that does bring that strength and that ability to do things. And Lord willing, we'll continue to move in a good direction. And wow, what will it be like when more of Israel and all of Israel ends up joining in with that vision, and that movement will be, wow, amazing. And that's why I feel like we're supposed to be here encouraging Israel. Yes, keep going, pursue God, pursue the Torah, and follow after Him, and not just for Israel's sake, but for the whole world's sake. To be able to join in with that vision. Wow, it's very, very exciting. Amazing times that we're living in, that it's actually happening right now in our day. Okay, so I got another question here as we continue on the Torah portion. In verse 15, it talks about Jeshurun in English. It says, Jeshurun became fat and kicked. You became fat, you became thick, you became corpulent, and it deserted God, its maker. So as far as I know, we haven't heard this word Jeshurun before. Can you tell us what exactly is the Jeshurun that it's talking about here? And why is that name used?
Yeshurun, its name.
Mm-hmm.
The name, one of three names of Yaakov, Jacob.
Okay.
Yaakov, Yisrael, and Yeshurun.
Okay.
And the meaning, the root, in Hebrew, every word has root.
Mm-hmm.
The root is yashar, yud shin resh, straight, righteous.
Mm-hmm.
To be yashar, straight.
Uh-huh.
So this is Yeshurun. So it's another name for the Jewish people, because it's another name for our forefather Yaakov. And this verse is very important. Because we try hard to make the world better, to bring the bless.
Mm-hmm.
And the bless is also physical.
Mm-hmm.
Wealth, food, pleasures.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is dangers to fall, to go after the pleasures. Vayishman Yeshurun vayiv'at. When you become fat, you may kick. And it's like paradox, because we can't enjoy the fat without the spirit. But it always confuses us, because we eat and become fat and feel so nice. So we think that the food is the important part of the joy, and not just to complete the pleasure. But it's not begin with the food and not end with the food.
Uh-huh.
So it's like your pleasure is seeking God and find Him, worship Him. And you have to worship Him through the physical world, because we live in a physical world. So we eat and we relate the good taste to God, the pleasure to God. Everything is God. All the bliss in the world is from God. And when we eat, because we try to find the pleasure, it's like one who is thirst to drink,
Thirsty, yeah.
thirsty, so he eat bread. But he's still thirsty, so he eat more bread, and more bread, and more bread. It's not you have to drink. You think that your ice cream will bring you the pleasure, the deep pleasure of worshiping God. No, it's just ice cream. So you have to eat ice cream on Shabbat. You have to pleasant in Shabbat. It's okay. It's good because you have to connect the learning of the Torah with the pleasure. So it's good to connect, but to think, okay, so the ice cream, this is the solution for our will. No, it's not the ice cream at all. So this is Vayishman Yeshurun Vayivat. He becomes fat. He thinks the fat, the food, gives him all the pleasure. So I don't need anything else. I can just eat and eat and eat and eat and become fat and heavy and lazy and tired, and you lose all your pleasure, all the bliss.
Wow. Well, another very important lesson for us today is there, like you were saying earlier, there's so much good in our world. It can be easy to seek after those things and forget God and His blessing to us. So, wow, it was a very, very important lesson for us. Well, Rabbi Yonadav, it looks like we've run out of time, but thank you so much for teaching today. This has been a really amazing study, and wow, this portion is just, it's so poetic, and there's so much here. We could keep on going probably for another 30 minutes. But wow, thank you so much for teaching us, and thanks to all of you guys who have joined us today. I hope you have enjoyed this as much as I have. It's been a great study. If you have any feedback, you can send me an email at zach@hayovel.com. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thanks for joining us today. May God bless you as you continue studying and embracing His holy word. And Shabbat Shalom from the beautiful, exceedingly good land of Israel.